Hello guys, in this tutorial we're going to make a zombie enemy, and the zombie will patrol a certain area. Anyways, let's get started. I've got here the zombie sprites, and I'm going to drag them here. I'm going to slice them up. So put it here, multiple sprite editor, and let me see. Grid, I think they were 27 by 27. So put that, and as you can see, slice them less. Put this into point, apply, and now we have a zombie, but it's a bit too small. So I'm just going to change this. Let's see if 20 is fine. Okay, 20 is a bit too small, so I'm going to put 13. Okay, it seems okay. So I'm going to delete this, and let's start making the animations for the zombie. So first off, I'm going to make the idle animation. So this will be the idle animation when the zombie isn't doing anything. Anyways, I'm going here into animation, create, and zombie idle. And the zombie idle animation will be just the zombie sitting still like that. Okay, that animation is done, so click there. And now let's create another animation, which is the zombie walking. So zombie walking. And this animation will basically be all of the sprites of the zombie. So drag them into there, and let's see how that goes. So if I press play, it's a bit too fast. Let me change this to maybe 15. Okay, and as you can see, it feels like the zombie is walking backwards, but it doesn't really matter. It's just something to show you that the zombie is walking. So save, and now we have our zombie. And I'm going to add the box collider and the circle collider to the zombie so that he can actually climb terrain just like the player can. Circle collider, and decrease its size and put him at his feet. So something like this will be fine. And also let's add a box collider 2D and change it to be like so. And also let's give it a rigid body 2D so that he can walk and be affected by physics. So right now he will fall to the ground, and if he will fall down, and we don't want that, so in the constraints freeze the rotation. Okay, and now we'll be fine. Now we're going to create a script for the zombie. So new script, zombie, and like I said, the zombie is going to patrol a certain area, so I'll call it zombie patrol. We're going to use coroutines, which I didn't like at all before I did this, but then I discovered how useful they are, so we're going to use them. If you don't know what they are, I recommend you watch the tutorial in the description. But basically, what a coroutine is a routine that it doesn't happen every cycle. It happens whenever you want it to happen, which is cool. So to make a coroutine, they have to have this enumerator thing, and then their name, for instance, patrol. Just like a function, they can receive parameters and whatnot. Now, to start a coroutine, you have to put here start coroutine, and you can do them these three ways. I'm just going to do it through the first one, so just type here patrol, and it will execute that. Now, we want the zombie to go from a place to another infinitely. So this will be a while true. While true. Meaning it will be an infinite loop. The way that this is going to happen is that we have here our zombie, and I'm going to also create here a new game object and put the zombie in there, and just name this game object zombie stuff, and it will have the zombie itself. And let's create some new, and I'm going to create two empty game objects. It will have the points where the zombie has to go. Point 1, point 2. And now in the zombie script, I'm going to put here two variables relative to that. The first one will be a public transform, which will be an array of patrol points, and the second will be an int current point, which tells us in which point of the array we are. So for instance, because I created here 2 points, then here the zombie should go from one point to another, so I'm just going to put here 2 and drag one point to here and the other point into here, and as you can see we have to put them in valid locations, so like so, and now the zombie will go from here to here like so. And now we have to program the part where the zombie goes from one patrol point to the other. First off, we have to check if the zombie has reached the patrol point, because if it has reached the patrol point, won't the patrol point to change. So for instance, if the zombie has reached this point, wanted the point to change to this point. And basically what we are changing here is not the point itself, it's the integer, because this integer holds the point that the zombie wants to go. So if we change it, the zombie has to go to another point. So first off, I'm going to create a way to change that point, and the way that this is going to go is if transform.position.x, meaning if the position x of the zombie is equal to the patrol points, and we want the, and remember this is an array, so it receives an int, and I want to check the current point. And if you don't know how arrays work, you should see that the link in the description. Anyways, position.x. So if it checks the position of a zombie is equal to position x of the patrol point. So for instance, if the zombie's x is equal to this, it means that he has reached the patrol point, and then we want to change it. So this will be the patrol point 1. So this patrol point, and the index was 0, and if we added 1, it will be the element 1, so in the patrol point will change to point 2, and the zombie will go over here. So let's change the patrol point just by doing current point plus plus. But there's only one little thing that's a problem, which is because there are 2 points, what happens when the zombie reaches the point 2? So when it reaches here, we add the point, and it will go and the current point will be 2, but there's no element 2, there's only element 0 and 1. So what we want to do is, whenever the point is bigger than or equal to the length of this array, we want the current point to reset. So we're going to make an if for that. If the current point is greater than or equal to the patrol points dot length, then I want the current point to reset, meaning to go back to 0. And right now we have 2 points, but if you want, you can have like 100, and the zombie will work the same way. Anyways, with this done, now we're going to actually put the zombie moving from a place to the other. To do that, we're going to use a method that we have already used in other tutorials, which is the move towards. So we want the position of the zombie to be equal to vector2 dot move towards. So the current position is the transform dot position, and the position that we want to go, well, we could just put here the position of the point, meaning the patrol point dot position, but because our zombie can't fly, he will be like stuck in this weird position, and we don't want him to go like into the air to try and reach that point. So what we're going to do is to make him only go into the x of that point. And to do that, I'm going to put here a new vector2 with a certain x, and the x will be the x of that patrol point, so patrol point, and because this is an array, we have to specify which index it is, and it's the current point index dot position dot x, and the y, because the y doesn't matter, we can make the y be equal to the current position, and this will make the zombie be able to climb small slopes like so. And now here in the third parameter is just like a speed parameter, so I'm going to put here speed, and on the top create a variable public float speed and make it equal to 0.5 floats, and let's save. And with this our zombie should be oscillating between these two positions. And before we make this play, you have to do one last thing, which is put here yield return null. And this is a thing that you only do on coroutines, because this tells us whenever you can skip out of the coroutine. So putting this tells us whenever you can go to the next cycle, or whatever it is. So this is basically a pause. So you execute this, then this happens, and it tells you to wait for the next frame, and then on the next frame this happens again, and it tells you to wait to the next frame. And the other way that you could do this is not, instead of waiting just for the next frame, you could wait for like a few seconds by doing yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and specify some seconds over here, and to wait those seconds before it executed this routine all over again. Okay, with this done like so, the zombie should now oscillate between the 2 points. So let's see. If I play, as you can see, the zombie is oscillating between those 2 points, and I can even add more points. Let me show you. So I'm going to put here a new point into here, and these points will go like, I don't know, in the middle. Can go in the middle. And the zombie, pause the script, change the size to 3, put that game object over there, and now the zombie should stop a bit on that point over there. So I can even put a point over here, and the zombie will go also over there, as you can see, in a certain order. Anyways, the zombie is a bit too fast, so to make it slower, just change the speed to something slower. Okay, like 0.10, 0.1 is fine, as you can see. That can be like that. So I'll leave it at 0.1. Now, I also want the zombie to, whenever he reaches a point, to stop there and stay alert. So to do that, we're going to use that thing I was talking about a few moments ago, which was the yield return new, wait 4 seconds, and I'm going to put here seconds, which will be a public float time still, which is the time that the zombie stays still, and that will be 2 seconds, and put here time still. And now each time the zombie reaches a point, the point will change, and the zombie will wait there 2 seconds before it goes back and does this stuff. So now let me show you that this is working. It goes there, it stops for 2 seconds, goes there, it stops for 2 seconds, and that's the basic patrol routine. Now we're going to make the zombie walk and change its X, because as you can see right now it isn't changing its X at all. To change its X, all you have to do is to make the zombie always face the point where he wants to go. If the point is in here, the zombie should look at that point. If the point is in here, the zombie should look at that point. So to make that happen, I'm going to put here an if clause that does that. So if the transform.position.x of the zombie is greater than the patrol point and the point that we're currently going to dot position dot x, meaning if the zombie is at the right of the point, then we want its x scale to change by 1. So transform dot local scale equals new vector 3 minus 1 1 1. Else if, and the reason that I'm not putting else just is because if the x is equal to the point, we want nothing to change, because that way as soon as the zombie reached one of the points, he will turn back around, and we don't want that. So else if this happens, but on the reverse, we would want the transform.localScale of the zombie to be equal to the vector 3.1, which is basically a vector that is 1 1 1. So save it, and now the zombie will turn to the correct places, as you can see, and that's cool. Now let's make the zombie walk. So right now here, if you go into the zombie in the animator, you should have something similar to this. And what I'm going to do is create a parameter. So going to parameter, click on the plus sign, bool, and walking. So what I want to do is to make the zombie go from idle to walking, to the zombie walking whenever the walking is true. So whenever walking is true, and I want the zombie to go from walking to idle whenever walking is false. Okay, and now I'm going to modify this walking parameter through the script. So let's get started. So just like we did numerous times before, put here animator anim, and in the start make the anim be equal to the get component animator of the zombie, and this will find us this component for us. And now we want to change that. And when do we want to change it? Well, we want it to be idle whenever it gets still. So before we make the zombie be stopped, we want the anim dot set bool, and the name of the bool was walking with the lowercase walking. We want it to be false. But as soon as the zombie starts walking, I want the anim dot set bool walking to be true. Save, and now let's see how that's working out. As you can see, the zombie walks and then it stops, it goes there, and there's a little bit of an error, which is when he stops, he still moves for a while, and that's because of a simple thing, because this has here that it has exit time, and this means that it basically has to wait for this animation to stop to play this animation. So just uncheck that, and now that will work fine. So it stops immediately, as you can see, and because when the zombie starts moving, you is already walking. Here in the start, we want to make this variable be equal to walking, like so. Now the zombie will walk. Okay, now we're also going to do some more stuff, which is we're going to make the zombie detect the player, and if the zombie finds the player, you will run at it at a certain speed, and we also make the zombie be killable. So first off, to make the zombie kill the player, just change its tag from untag to deadly. I've shown in the last tutorial how that works. And for us to be able to kill the zombie, all we have to do is to make a void on trigger enter 2D with a collider 2D other. So whenever the zombie collides something with the tag projectile, we want something to happen, and that is we want him to destroy itself. So destroy this .game object after some time. So point one floats like so. So now if I hit play, and if I hit the zombie with a furball, it disappears. And if I go into the zombie because he's deadly, I lose a life. As you can see now, I've lost a life. And if I go into him again, I lose another life and die. And the zombie will always be on his own doing his stuff. Anyways, this zombie is a little bit retarded right now, and I'm going to make it follow the player if he finds it. So the way that I'm going to do this is make a raycast, go out of the zombie, and check in front of him if there's the player. So physics2d dot raycast, and the origin is the zombie itself, and the direction is just like we did with the player several times. Transform dot local scale dot x times vector 2 dot right, and the distance will be the sight, which is the distance that the zombie can see us. So public float sight, and I'll make this free equals free float, and so that we can see it in Unity, I'm going to put here void on draw gizmos like so, and put here the gizmos dot color equals color dot red or some other color, and put here gizmos dot draw line, and the line will go from the zombie, so transform dot position to that point, which is transform dot position plus whatever we wrote there, which is this, times the sight. And if you didn't understand what I did, this is just we're adding to the position of the player the maximum point where the zombie can see. And right now you should be able, the draw lines is in 3D, so you have to put here vector 3 instead of 2. And now here the zombie should be able to have like a red ray, and that ray will be able to detect the player. Anyways, here we make this, and this returns a raycast hit 2D, so just put here raycast hit 2D called hit equals that. And now here we want to check if the hit the player. So if hit dot collider isn't null, meaning if the raycast hits something, and if that something has a tag player, then what I want is the zombie to jump into the player's face. So just put here get component rigid body 2D to access the rigid body 2D of the zombie, and we want to add a force, and this will basically be the vector 2 dot up times a certain force. I'm just going to put here another public float called force. So the zombie will go up and it will go in the direction of the player. So to make him go in the direction of the player, just put here the direction where we want to go minus the direction that we are right now. So that is whatever we collided with, which is the player, minus where we are right now, so transform that position. And we did something similar in the last tutorials. Basically what this is a vector that points from the zombie to the player, so this will make the zombie go in that direction. To make this multiply by a force, instead of just doing this times force, just put here parentheses over here, so that we can multiply this vector that we just did by the force. And now the zombie should lunge himself at the player, and we have here a mistake, confusions between vector 2 and vector 3. I'll just put the vector 2 as 3 if this happens. And now if I go into the zombie, let me see if I put a force that's big enough for the zombie to actually go into the player. So if the zombie hits the player, he's not seeing it, as you can see, but if I go into his radius and jump, you can see that the zombie gets all mad and goes onto us like so. And that's basically it for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next tutorial.